Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is 2025. I want to say that 5 times. It's 2025. So when you write it, when you go back to work or go back to whatever on Monday, make sure that you are writing 2025 because that it is. I'm Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy Vet, certified doer, and the late stuff legislator for the House of Delegates, 93rd District. Honored to serve. Happy to be here to be on the Monday. What is it? The morning dew. The morning dew for certified doers just like you. So we've got a couple things. I want to go today. Remember, this is always your time. If you're new here, this is always your time. So if you have questions, you have comments, you have concerns, this is your opportunity to, say what you got to say, ask your questions. I'm going to ramble because that's what you'll have me do up here. I'm just kidding. But remember, it's all good morning. Brian buys ugly houses. Good morning. So I've got a couple of laws that have gone into effect as of yesterday. And I'm going to do that list because sometimes I think if you've gone to summer school for certified doer, then you know that most of the laws we enact, meaning that we bring most of the legislation that becomes a law, goes into effect on July 1. But there are some that go into effect on January 1. So I'm going to go through that list. Also, invitation if you got time, bring your friends, bring your family. Sunday at 1 o'clock at Maker's Craft Brewery, I'll be having a celebrate with the delegate just to meet you before I leave. I leave for Richmond probably Monday or so, Monday or Tuesday I'll leave, but I gavel into session on Wednesday, which will be a whole thing. And we'll start the 2025 session of lawmaking. So I definitely want to see your face. It's on, if you got social, it's on all the handles, but it's also on, I think on Eventbrite. I may have put it there, but it's Celebrate with the Delegate Sunday at 1 p.m. At the Maker's Craft Brewery. If you can't go to that, I also will be hopping in and off of a live town hall that we'll be having for the entire delegation at the same time. Forgive me, that's my fault. I didn't mean to do that. Schedule two things at once, but that's life. I miss you too, Miss Roslyn. I miss you so much. Hey, David. Miss you too. All right, so let's get into it. So what I have today, and remember, this is your time. Ask your questions, say your piece. What I'm going to do is go down, run down a list of Virginia's new laws with sort of a critical lens. I'll say this again for you all that is just joining me. Most of our laws go into effect on July 1, but then there's a couple that sometimes don't go into effect until January 1. So let's start with probably one that's like the big deal. Minimum wage. So minimum wage is going to get a boost from $12. It's going to increase to $12.41 to adjust for inflation. Why does that matter? Let me tell you this. While 41 cents helps a little, it's nowhere near enough. I'll say this as a lawmaker and just as an everyday citizen, it's nowhere near enough to cover rent, to cover groceries, to cover bills. Plus, the plans to bump up minimum age to 1350, and then from because it would have happened over a series of years. It would have went up to 1241 this year, 1350, and then up to $15. They were vetoed. So in translation, there's lawmakers still playing politics, specifically in the government, while you out here trying to survive and struggle. But if you're not a minimum wage earner, this still impacts you, right? Because more money in people's pockets means most times a stronger economy, specifically a stronger local economy. So minimum wage is going to go up that 45 cents. 45 cents. So, oh, happy new year. Miss Charlene said, happy new year, wishing everybody in blessings and blah, blah, blah. Yes. Oh, David, me too. I'm going to be on the live, off the live. It's my fault, my team's fault. I don't know how I did it, but I did it double booked and it's wrong. So I'm going to figure out how to make it work. So glad to have you there. All right. So we're going through this list. Number 2, do you drive? Some of y'all, do y'all drive a car? So what's happening that went into effect yesterday is that drivers are now going to have to carry more insurance. I don't know if you knew that states get to determine these requirements. And it was shocking to me because when I was in Florida, when I lived in Florida, my insurance, if I got a little tick, like if my window was broken, the insurance company was mandated to just pay for that for free. Like that had to be covered, I guess, for the number of people. And I feel like as much construction we have going on here, why we ain't got that? So drivers now have to carry more insurance. That's a state level adjustment. You have to carry 60,000 for at least, I think 60,000 for one person's injury and death, 100,000 for multiple injuries and death, and 25K for property damage. I mean, it's a good idea on paper, but unfortunately, with the insurance companies, most times drivers are going to foot that bill. So this could mean higher premiums for everybody, especially lower income Virginians. Better protection, I believe, is great. But again, I don't believe in things that come at the cost of making but it shouldn't come at the cost of making insurance unaffordable. But it is. So, but on the flip side, right? Better coverage also means fewer nightmares after an incident. So we protect yourself, you protect others when the unexpected things happen. So put that in your back pocket. Put that in your back pocket. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, and please feel free to chime in or ask your questions and all the good things. There's number 3, that there's going to be a larger payout for people that are in public safety that have passed away. So families of public safety workers who die on a job from a job-related condition can now receive up to 75K. It used to be 25, now it's 75. I mean, it's a solid step up to, people risk it all, and that's real. It's definitely reactive because it is not a joke to have to deal with the expenses of losing someone who is, we are a mandated 2-parent household, and life has changed for that. So there's support for there is also support for better working conditions, more preventative care, and resources to reduce the health risk in the first place. Like that's what I'm worried about, that because we keep seeing this firefighting bill because firefighters are getting cancer at an alarming rate, but yet the insurance is not covering some of the known on the job risk. So we got to make sure that if we're not only stepping up when people pass away, but we're supporting the better working condition. We're thinking about preventive care and just a reduction to being how it works. But it also acknowledges their their sacrifice, and hopefully helps the families deal with the loss. I'm saying this from the place of I'm trying to hold both things in hand, right? The good and the bad. So if you hear me being snarky, it's just two sides of the coin. Guess what? Number 4, yesterday, these are laws that went into effect on January 1, vice July 1. Insurance is going to expand for cancer screening. So insurance now has to cover colorectal cancer screenings. That includes follow-ups without you having to pay out of pocket. Okay. So you get your screenings, number 1. And this is a huge thumb up because free screenings, we know, saves the lives and prevents those huge bills later. But let's push for that level of coverage for everybody and for all preventative care, not specific cases. How about we do that? But again, early detection saves lives and wallets. Boom. It's the one reason to avoid one less reason for you all to avoid getting a colonoscopy that you have been putting off. Get it done. Okay. Get it done. Happy New Year. I'm looking at making sure y'all join in when you can. Number 5, this is important. Number 5, this is important for Norfolk specifically. Historic rehab tax credits get a boost. We have such old housing stock and old building stock. So when people come in and we're like, why can't we just turn that church into apartments? Why can't we just do this? Why can't we just do that? It's because when you're rehabbing old facilities, there is a lot more that comes with it. So what we have here is that historic rehab tax credit got a boost. So tax credit for historic renovation are going to rise up to 7.5 million annually. I believe it was at 5 or so. I can't remember the number. But it's nice to, I'm a history person, more like an architectural history person, but it's nice to be able to preserve history, but making sure that it's people centered. Know that when we do tax credit like this, unfortunately, it really does benefit big developers and wealthy property owners, and not necessarily everyday folks, but it can. And I think we have to get in the business, if you live in an older space, of understanding how to get these historic tax credits in the local government. There's someone who only deals with historic properties. At the state level, there is a whole department. So I think we have to do a better job of helping everyday people understand why these tax credits matters, why it matters, and encourage preservation while giving tax breaks, which could be a win for you. And I'm looking into it, what kind of tax. My house was built in 1917. So really looking at how we can get access to those things. And it doesn't just benefit the big developers and folks like that. Is a huge part of it. What you got? I'm looking. What is your questions? Anybody got anything? What you got going on? You got a resolution? Did y'all do resolutions? I chose not to. I did. I didn't do any resolutions, but if you did a resolution, drop it in the chat, because I'm about to go to session and I got a couple things that I probably need to give my life right about. So if you decided that you was gonna have a resolution, share it with us. Come on. So also, number 6 that went into effect yesterday is that there's going to be a new program, y'all, to track Alzheimer's and dementia data to help us do policy better. Now, it's called the Virginia Memory Project. It launched yesterday. Now, this is it is such a compassionate step forward. There's definitely systematic changes that need to happen for caregivers and for affordable long-term care. That is still missing, and research is great, but we're going to need some action. So hopefully this step of getting the data, aiming to improve care, will help improve policy. If somebody in your life has dementia, again, this specific things, dementia or Alzheimer's, this is specific initiative is hopefully to improve the resources and policies for better care. I think that's a big deal. Sometimes I too am amazed at some of the things that we are responsible for, y'all, that we can make happen. So I don't see nobody with no resolutions. I said, if you got one, if you have resolute yourself to something for 2025, because it is 2025, put it in the chat while I go through this list. This again is a list of laws that went into act on January 1st, vice July 1st. Most of the bills we do go into effect on July 1st, but there are some that wait until January 1st. So these are the ones from January 1st. Only got a couple more here. There's going to be also a public utility work database coming soon. Have you ever been how am I supposed to know that they started this work? And I know there'd be signs flashing, but some of y'all, when y'all driving, you're not paying attention to road work will begin on August 25th. You're I'm living for today. Okay. Or you in your neighborhood and you're what is this? When did this happen? So VDOT, why are they doing construction over there? VDOT is going to create a database that'll show where utility work is happening in neighborhoods. So if the utilities are doing something in your space or place, you're going to know. So it's useful, obviously, for avoiding surprises when there's roadblocks, or because that's a big deal. I live in Valentine and I was just what is happening? The real headache is the disruption to your daily life. I think on top of that, we're going to have to go a step further for some rules for utility companies to finish on time or compensate people for the delays that they make to their life. How about that? That needs to be the new rule. But hopefully now that you know about the database, you can say goodbye to all of the surprise roadblocks and construction chaos, and you'll know when digging starts, when utility work starts in your own backyard. That's pretty nice, right? Pretty good. What you think? David James says, I learned on Senator Williams Gray's live that VA Dems are number ranked by authority. Do VA Republicans have the same system? I'm wondering. Okay. I'm going to read that again, that we're number ranked by authority. So here's what I think you're saying. This is from David James Glass on Instagram. He said he heard on the senators, local senators live that Dems are number ranked by authority. Do VA Republicans have the same system? So no one is ranked by authority. Let me say that. We're not ranked by authority. We're ranked by seniority. So the entire House, the entire Senate, we each have a number assigned to us based off when we came into the General Assembly. So the number one, who's ever number one on the list, was the oldest person, was the first person to has been in that particular body the longest. Some of us have a license plate that show our number. So my plate is 62. And that's where I am. So there's nobody's getting ranked by authority, because I think number one in the House is Delegate Orrock, and he is a Republican. But the Republicans are not in control of the House. So it's not by authority, it's by seniority. I think that's what you're talking about. I'm not 100% sure. So David says, she said she was, I think, 29 last year and 32 this year. And it could give her more committees and more jobs. Yeah. That's true. Okay. Yep. So yes, you meant seniority, not authority. Well, it depends. Just because you have a higher number doesn't mean you get more spaces. It depends on the actual leadership of that chamber. I cannot speak for the Senate, but that's pretty much how it goes. The Speaker of the House determines who sits on what committees. Sometimes that has to do with seniority because people have more experience in a specific place, or have been on committees for a while. But I saw last year the Speaker removed one of the most senior guys off of the appropriation committee because they was talking yin yang, right? Yep. So it depends on leadership. Leadership determines, the leadership that is in charge of that chamber determines who sits on what committees. And so, yeah, it really does depend. So David asks, is the rank by time in office? Yes. So the rank is by the time that they've been in office. I think when I was there, Ken Plum was number one, and he had been in the House of Delegates since the 70s with a break in service. So like the 80s, he had been in office for a lot of years. So yeah, our numbers, we are ranked. What I can do is when I come back, when I'm in session, I come back, they give us this thing called a red book. And that red book shows all of the delegates and their rankings. But also you can go to General Assembly, VirginiaGeneralAssembly.gov, and you can see where we are all ranked. You can see it's our seniority, not necessarily our power or authority, but it's our seniority for sure. Yep. So Mary says, coming up this year, any discussion regarding accountability about funding of mental health care system, monitoring what's being submitted by hospitals and doctors for billing. So if I'm thinking correctly on that one, there is a medical debt transparency bill that I want to say got passed this past session. I'm going to have to check because Nadarius Clark, he is a delegate out in Suffolk that has carried a lot of bills pertaining to medical debt. But I will take a look, Mary. I definitely will take a look because to say this coming up year, and it's a great question, Mary. Let me put this question back up. It's a great question to ask. I don't necessarily know all of the bills that are going to be in. I won't know everything that's being put forward until probably Friday next week. So we gavel into session on Wednesday, but we all have until Friday to submit the bills that we're going to be bringing forward. So we have to make our edits. We have to do all of that stuff, but then we have until Friday. So some of the stuff is in there. Some of the big stuff is in there. So you'll see the constitutional amendments because we have 3 that we have to pass. You'll see people that are carrying stuff for the executive branch. So that fact that they want to get rid of tips, taxes on tips, that's in there. The big stuff is in there, but you won't see a lot of those little things, at least on our side, you won't see that for a while. So yeah, I'll keep abreast, and I hope you do too, of any medical monitoring for billing in hospitals, because we do need that transparency. Nobody should get a surprise bill. That's wild. This summer or spring, when my mom had her stroke, and I got the bill, and I was just like, dang. I was like, I wish they would just tell you, like, mentally prepare for all of them numbers, them digits on a paper. It's a big deal. Larry, Miss Bright, you said you never do. I've never really done resolutions. I can't stick to it. You know what I mean? I have a difficult time sticking to it. All right. So yeah, if you have resolutions, drop them in the chat. But also, if you have questions, as have been asked, please don't hesitate. I'm going through a list of items that went into effect yesterday, vice July 1, because most of our laws go into effect on July 1. But these, I think I have two more, guys, two more. And then, like I said, drop your comments, questions, and everything. So number 8 on our list, there's going to be better pay for court appointed lawyers. So the minimum pay for court appointed lawyers increases to $180 for minor offenses. It's a good move because there is a need to attract more for better lawyers for people that can't afford one. It is a Band-Aid. Let me just say this: the criminal justice system is severely underfunded, overloaded, and sort of tilted against anybody that is low income. And I don't even want to say low income, because that is hard. Anyone that ain't making buku can't afford a big hotshot lawyer. It's a start. It's not a fix. But again, fair pay will attract those quality lawyers and ensure no matter the income that people get proper representation, because that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. Do you hear me? The last one I have, number 9, actually, there was one I wanted to add, that there's more work being done for kinship care. And I saw it somewhere. I'm gonna open my phone after that, and then we can roll from here. All right, so this one is interesting. 1 candidate primaries are done. All right, so what happens here? You'll know, like, I end up having to be on the ballot twice in a year, an election year. So 2025, I'm on the ballot. I possibly will have 2 elections. But based off this, if no one rogers up to run, then I won't have to do the primary. Primary is the election that happens before the general election that we have in November. The primary decides who's going to be the candidate for the particular parties. That's where we're messed up, this 2-party system. Let me just say that. That's where we get it jacked up. So if only 1 candidate is left in a primary, the primary will be canceled and they'll automatically become the nominee. The good thing for, like, our registrar's department, because every county, city, and town has a registrar that runs the elections, and elections cost money to run. So when you're doing 2 and it's like you already know, then yeah. So it will save money. It'll save money. It is a missed opportunity for public engagement, because people, well, let me just say this, consistent voters typically show up at the primaries. So, but even if unopposed candidates, we've got to face the voters and articulate our vision, and we can't be taking shortcuts. So it will save money. It'll save time. It'll save confusion when the race is already decided, and focus on the competition that's come ahead in November. Let me make sure there aren't any questions or comments or anything, but yes, that part. So why do I do this, guys? Listen, the bottom line is while some of these changes, they hit the mark, some of them I feel like, feel more like political optics rather than real solutions. And that's why we need you all more participatory. Laws should center people, not profits, not convenience, not the status quo. Virginia, we can do better, and I believe that we will. So I need y'all to keep pushing for policies that our community actually need. That's real, because these changes are not just government stuff, right? They touch your wallet, they touch your health, they touch your safety, they touch your community, whether it's at the pump, better insurance, smarter policies. All of these laws aim to make life better in some way, shape, or form. Someone thought they make it better, and we have to make them. If they take it there, we got to help them take it further. So we got to know, go into 2025, knowing what's up, knowing what matters to you, and like holding us. Like y'all heard some of this stuff. That means like at the state level, this is what we're responsible for. It's wild, right? There was one insurance cover. Oh, there are a couple more that I just want to pop out for y'all. There are going to be new restrictions against the use of personal data for children. Y'all, if y'all got kids on Instagram, on Roblox, on Twitch, all these different things, there's going to be some, and shout out to Delia Maldonado, who has been working with these Consumer Act data protections. So new restrictions against the personal data uses for children under Consumer Data Protective Act. Online data vendors are not allowed to use children's data for targeted advertising or geolocation unless you as the parent gives consent. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I talked a little bit about caregiving, but I also want to talk about kinship care because it's a big deal. I mean, my first baby was my niece, right? Well, my niece, I had a kid before I even had a kid. That kinship care is when you put kids in. If some of y'all may have gone, when grandma's raising the baby, that's kinship care. So when we put children in foster care with relatives beginning January 1, yesterday, the Parental Child Safety Placement Program aims to make sure that that happens. So it's about making sure that we put the kids with family that's going to be a trusted agent for them. That's going to be a priority, and helping find those family members that are willing to support their family members, trying to make sure there's nothing else. So yeah, local department's going to have to get it together. And that's a thing. Yeah. Kids do better when they're placed with families. And I know this because I've had custody of my nieces and my niece at different points in life. And I'm glad that I was able to do it. My spouse and I were able to do it, but it is super helpful. All right. So I don't see anything in the comments. Y'all were scared to put y'all resolutions or what y'all think y'all going to do better this year. That's fine. Let me not say you were scared. I ain't going to impose my opinion on you. Couple things, right? So Sunday, we got two things going on. We've got the live, right? The online live event that's happening. The online live that's happening for the town hall, as well as I have a Makers Craft Brewing. I have a Celebrate with the Delegate that's happening too. Please bring a friend, somebody who's never interfaced. Y'all know we keep a welcome, friendly space. Know that I am excited to go to session. I'm excited to share what the work that we're going to be doing. Furthermore, the work comes at a cost. So I'm asking everyone here that if you have it, please consider before Wednesday next week, consider providing a contribution that will help me. One biggest thing on my list always is I have to pay my dues to my caucus, which are for a candidate like me, tremendous because people consider me safe. And then just so that I'm able to hold on to the staff that I have through session. So I think I need to raise probably somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 before Wednesday. So if you believe in our work, go ahead and make a contribution. Everything counts. Somebody gave $25 yesterday. I'm always grateful, but call your people and just be like, can you get just a little bit? We do have politicians out here trying to do people stuff, trying to do the right thing. Every day we're trying to do the right thing. And that definitely changes based on our community. Our community lets us know what they feel is right and what they feel is wrong. And I'm grateful that you all take the time on a Thursday morning to get up for the certified doers, the morning dew for certified doers, just like you and me. We've got good work to do, y'all. We've got good work to do. Got good work to do, right? We do. I'm excited for us. Oh, thank you, Loria. Very informative. Good. You guys guide this process. I want it to be informative. So if you have something that you feel like you want us to cover, please just holler at me or just drop it in the chat. All right. It is 7:30. So without further ado, I am grateful. I will see you Sunday, maybe virtually or in person. Maybe. All right. Until next time, I'm Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy Vet, Certified Doer, the Laced Up Legislator for the House of Delegates, 93rd District. Honored to serve. I will see you soon. We're going to take this journey into session. You make it a great day. Don't forget, it's 2025. Make sure you're writing that when you write on your check, old lady. Okay. Old man. When you put it on your check or write the date on that child's permission slip, it's 2025. We're really here. All right. Be well. Take care. Bye, y'all.